Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Soul Chat. Today I've got my beautiful siSTAR Doreen Happel on. I'm going to put on the comments. We'll just always wait a couple minutes to let everybody log on. We'll be doing our Soul Chat series, getting to know our beautiful tribe members. So we've got pretty much scheduled out until I think January. I feel when I looked at the schedule, we'll try to do 2 a month. That's my goal. To get in there, you might see 3 sometimes. You might see 4 if the schedules work out that way. Really, this season, hi Jessica, thanks for joining. Is for you guys to get to know each other. We have so many beautiful healers and grid workers and earth keepers and so many people really doing the everyday work. And some of them, like our gorgeous friend here, has been doing this work for over 2 decades. And there's just really something so special about being a way shower and really connecting in and kind of going against the grain and going against society's standards and really trusting and believing yourself. And I've looked to Doreen for a long time and admired her ability to really just trust her guides, trust her work, trust what she's supposed to be doing, her dedication to the planet to really heal, her love for the animals, and how that has really just opened up so much deeper totem work for me personally. And I know she's like a beautiful background worker. She's in the mountains doing it day in and day out. And I really am so grateful, Doreen, that you said yes to coming onto this platform for about an hour, just so everybody gets to know you. So for those of you who don't know Doreen, she resides in the United States somewhere on a mountain. Has been a very dedicated Earthkeeper, intuitive healer for a really long time. And so I'm really going to kind of try to start at the beginning as best we can. I mean, you've been doing this for so long, and we kind of chatted a little bit offline beforehand that it's almost like, well, when did I start this, right? It feels like you've been doing it forever. You've always been.
So, now that you just said that, probably even before I even knew what I was doing, obviously. I mean, I was always into like plants, and if they were dying, I always brought them back to life, kind of a thing, And I was always into animals, even as a kid. So, yeah, I guess it goes back a long time.
Yeah, just that innate nature.
Yeah.
So there's something that when we first met, hello everyone, thank you so much for joining, that I'm wondering if it flows into what really just sparked my interest so deeply is your ability to just trust, like you just go, like with your grid work, really finding a very particular crystal that's somewhere in some town somewhere that you just go. Can you talk a little about what it's like to really just let go and trust? And was it hard for you, or did you just like, how did you get to that true
As far as I can remember back to, it had to have been at least 20 years plus ago, is when I went for my first aura reading. And I really didn't know what it was. And I just thought that was really cool. Let me go do that. And I was in the back of my head when I was driving there, I remember saying, oh, well, my, whoever they are, come with me and let's go get a picture taken. Like I didn't even know who. I was like my guides, my higher self, whatever it was, angels, like I just invited my group of who I was working with, which I didn't even know who they were at that time.
Right.
And then I remember sitting there in the waiting room and I'm thinking, is there anybody else? Now I was able to, I'd say communicate. I would do like, what's it called? The muscle testing. Okay.
Oh, kinetics.
Yes. That's how I actually started communicating.
That's incredible.
Because I was taking my kids to a doctor who did the muscle testing. And I was like, that's so fascinating how you could talk to the brain and get answers and all. I was really fascinated by that. And so then I went online and was researching, and I taught myself like how to do the body testing, like, like swaying back and forth.
For yeses and nos.
Yeah. So like, I think I was like going backwards for yes and forwards for no. And then I was like an idiot standing in my front lawn with the dog going back and forth and back and forth. You know, like I probably looked really stupid. But, you know, like after a while, I just started to be able to communicate, you know, without having to do that. But still, a lot of times I'll ask a question, I'll get my head will go back or forward or whatever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think my trust, okay, so here was my trust is I also taught myself how, well, one of my guides taught me how to like do automatic drawing and automatic writing. And then when I was taking long trips, you know, I would like use my finger on my leg and I'd be like, and then after a while, I'm like, oh my God, here I am sitting there, like, you know, like the kids be talking. I'm like, shh, I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And then one day I was just like, I can't keep doing this, you know, just talk to me like I'm talking to somebody sitting next to me. And then I was driving down the road and I was told, like in my head, it was like, slow down. And I'm like, okay, so I just did it. I slowed down. As I went around the bend, there was a deer right smack in the middle of the road. And then I went, okay, I'll trust, you know, and that's what happened. I was just like, from then on out, I didn't write on my leg and I barely used paper unless there was a whole lot of stuff to be said. Yeah. And that's when I just trusted that what I was getting in my head was what, you know, would have been written or whatever. And, but that was that moment of trust is when they told me to slow down. And I was like, who said that, you know? Was I just thinking that? And yeah, and I did. I slowed down. I was like, holy crap. The deer is staring right at me in the middle of the road, a country road, you know, nice winding road. And I was like,
right. At a random time in the day, probably where there were no other deer or anything.
Yeah, and that was just in the middle of daytime. Oh. So that was my trusting moment. And that was like, you know, like 20 years ago or so.
Yeah. So you've been doing this. And so as you're going through and there's just so much that you've done already. I mean, you really have done, you know, and we'll get into a little bit with like the crystal grids and all of that magical thing and the animals. But did you have a teacher or anything, or did you just kind of like fly by the seat of your pants and just go?
Okay. Yeah. Going back to when I went for my, my aura photography, you know, the Polaroid snap thing.
Yeah.
I probably told you the story too. So I invited everyone to come with me. And then when I was in the waiting room, waiting for my time, I was like, is there anybody else? And then I got brought to this book. So I got up and went to that, like I could just zone in with my eyes to where I had to go. So I picked up the book. I went through the pages, got the pages, and it was Archangel Michael. And I went, all right, you can come. So anyway, it was my time to have the photo taken. And the lady looks at me and says, that one didn't come out. We have to do it again. And then she was like, and you didn't get a printout either. Like the printer didn't work. So I told her to bomb the machine. And so no more printing. And so she took it over, gave me my picture. Well, yeah, I told her, I said, yeah, I'll just tell everyone to go away, you know, to back off. And they looked at me like I had 10 heads.
Yeah.
So, like in my head, I just told my guides, all right, back off, you know, too much energy. And the next day, now this is an hour away. The next day, the person calls me and said, Doreen, I found your picture in the garbage. And I'm like, no, I got my picture. And then I thought, oh, wow, the one that she threw away because it didn't come out. So she's like, yeah. So I got my car and put the kids in the car, you know, they're babies at that point. And then, I drove an hour away to go get my picture. And my picture was all purple, like all purple and blue. You know, the first picture where I told everyone to get away, well, the second one where I told everyone to get away was your regular, you know, yellow, green, blue, orange, white, and stuff like that. Yeah. And so then that's when I realized I was working with Archangel Michael.
Wow.
And so basically he was my teacher. He was my teacher for a really long time. So the first thing he taught me was sensing, I guess, feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he'd have me move crystals around the room, around the house, different floors, outside, bury it, you know, like 10 minutes later, he'd have me go unbury it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going up and down the stairs, like for hours, like, you know, like kids are probably looking at me going, what is mommy doing?
Right.
You know, So yeah, so basically he was training me so I would know when something had to get moved or I needed something or whatever. So yeah, that was years worth of training with him. So I'd say it's mostly was communication and feeling, you know. So and now it helps me. Like if somebody says, "Can you work on me?" I could like in 2 seconds. I already know where I got to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then he trained me how to like kind of feel what I was feeling, like, you know, I don't know how, but it feels like a dagger, you know, or I don't know, it feels like, you know, a scale or a whatever, you know, like it's all sensing.
Yeah. And I just, it's so amazing because it's not often, you know, we come across in our group, we're really starting to have someone who'd be like, yep, no, my very first teacher was an archangel, which is just like so cool because, you know, there really is that allowance if we really open ourselves up. You know, there are all of these beautiful guides and you know, other beings who aren't in human form who are like, I can teach you too. So I love so much. And you kind of got a hard ass for a teacher, right? Like years and years of that. But just like you were saying, you now are just so seasoned and it's like a muscle memory, you know, and I love that so much because you can really, I kind of want to like tune into the rocks. Like, did you always have a fascination with crystals and rocks too? Or
no, not really. No, not really. So like even as a kid, I don't think like I didn't have crystals in my room or I wasn't like, you know, I don't know if I was brought to that. If my parents brought me to a crystal place, if I'd have been like, wow, look at that. I don't know. I didn't have that available.
Yeah.
That just came like, you know, Michael was probably like, you got to go here and get that. I'm like, okay, you know, like, so, you know, well, one time he had me drive all the way up to, oh gosh, I went all the way up the East Coast.
Right, to some little crystal shop or something?
Yeah. What's that town?
There's so many.
That's starts with a P. All right, well, I can't think of it. So he had me go all the way up there, Provincetown. Is that
like Rhode Island area?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know Northeast that well, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, that was a drive, I must say. I don't even know how long. It was 6 hours. I don't even know how long. So I got my car and drove there and parked. And it's kind of like not a boardwalk, but the street was go up and there's the stores. And I just kept walking. I was feeling it. It was up here on the right. That's all I knew. I just kept walking and walking and walking. And then I was getting to like, you know, houses and stuff. And the shops were like very sparse.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I feel it. It's up here. So we went a little further and sure as shit, there was a shop, like a metaphysical shop. I could still see it with the you know, it's all glass front with concrete steps. I walk up, the little bell rang and I walked in the door, person behind the counter. And I just walked in and I felt it. And I just know, okay, it's over here. There it is. It's like, so I walk over to the counter and she's like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, can I see that? So she gets it out. So it was wand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she handed it to me and she's like, you must be a powerful healer. And I was like, I don't know, just listen to Michael, you know? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so I bought it. So it's like I just knew where to go, where to get it. And that was all from his sensing. He wanted me to get it. So he guided me right to it. I just knew where it was. It's incredible. So that's crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that.
It was like brass and it had like a snake wrapped around it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course a snake, right?
Green, like a thing on one end, and was there a crystal on the other end? I don't know.
It's amazing. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for who are just joining. I'm on the Soul Chat today with Doreen Happel. I'm seeing all of the beautiful comments. Please keep chatting in there. I do have a lot of Facebook users. It's just the name of the game with StreamYard. Tamara, I did see you. Thank you all. Yeah, please feel free to chat or ask questions as it drops in. You know, I saw a little comment in there about practicing meditation and having troubles with my clairs at this time. And, you know, I think this is such an interesting part of our journey as you're talking about how, like, I mean, you really had this rigorous training to really, you know, they're like almost like a mystery school training where you were just doing it. And so there is something to a test with just kind of trusting and going. And so because you trusted yourself, right? And the book happened, you knew with the book, like you just are you someone who's just always kind of like trusted yourself and your knowing, or was that something that you learned along the way?
Yeah, I had to learn that along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Only because I trust that I know what's happening isn't like make believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I live every moment in the moment, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about what I need to do tomorrow or what happened last year. I just, in that moment of now, I might need to make a grid, or I might need to, get a crystal or something, or whatever.
Or whatever it is. So
whatever.
It's really just, you just really allowed yourself to be an allowance, and, and you've on this mountain, I would really love for you to kind of talk a little about these beautiful animals who have been such a, like, the peacocks, the horses, like they're all such an integral part of what you're doing, and how these beautiful sentient beings are your friends. And can you just kind of like,
I'm going to have to say I started with the horses.
Yeah.
And I didn't have horses at the time. I mean, I always wanted one. Who doesn't want a pony or something?
Right.
So, but I went to visit these horses at a stable nearby where I lived, and there was a horse, and he must have, just before we pulled in, got kicked. Oh. And he was like limping back to his stall. So, the next day I was like, I had to go see this horse, and then when I got there, they were hosing the leg off and all kinds of stuff. And then the next day I went to go see the horse, and the window was shut, and I looked under. I should not have done that. It killed me. It just killed me. It's like, I just wanted to, I was like, oh, can I buy your horse so I can fix it?
Yeah.
So that killed me. So on the way home, I was crying my eyes out, but I was talking to the horse, I was talking to the horse. The horse's name was Shane. I don't know who's, it was somebody's horse, and the horse followed me home, and then like conversation was going towards, you need to become an animal healer, so I switched back and forth, animal, mostly horses, to people,
Yeah.
Like I was in the animal thing for a while, and like I said, it was mostly horses, and then go back to people type stuff. And then, so that's what I was doing for a while. I mean, now it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a tree or a butterfly or something. But back then it was like, I needed to take a group of time out, and I did the horses. And it's just absolutely fabulous. They're such holders of and anchors of light in this planet, and just being able to talk to them. I mean, the conversation was always deep. It was never like, oh, I don't like my red bucket. It was like some serious stuff. I was like, whoa, stuff you can't tell people.
Yeah.
Right,
because you're like, I'm talking to horse.
20 years ago, most people didn't exist on,
right, we were scattered.
Yeah. So, and now where I am now, the peacocks are I'm going to have to say they're the same as the horses, except they're very galactic.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So, anchoring in the galactic was a big thing with the peacocks,
Yeah.
So it's interesting, you got the anchors of the peacocks and you got the anchors of the horses, and, we really, lifting the planet up to a higher frequency.
Yeah.
The animals play a big role in that.
Yep. They're these beautiful antennas, right? And they just know and get it. They don't need to.
They don't need to work. It wasn't like they naturally just did it, because like us, they had trauma and they had density that needs to be removed. Oh. Yeah.
Right. So through their healing, like you're healing them and the planet and everything all at once, and people and all the things. And it's just so amazing how much you get done in one day. And we talk about this a lot. It's almost like our brains are in like 8 places at once. And so often that happens. When that happens, it's like and we've kind of talked a little bit offline. It's like I forget words, or where I am. I'm like, oh, I'm here. And some people, they categorize that as a form of ADHD in that way. But it is really that our brains are just working. Like you're here talking to the horses, talking to the peacocks, making sure the trees are good, right? Like checking into
the crystal.
Yeah,
the crystal too. Yeah.
It's like,
and they all have something to say,
right? And then you're like, oh,
right. The grid had something to say. So it's like, yeah, there's always something to connect to and put into. Well, like we need to have human words to know what things are about. A guy gave that up a long time ago. If I really need to, like if my friend says, what's that about? I can put it to English words, but basically, I just do stuff and I don't ask what it's for, what it's about. I can kind of know it's anchoring in something or what elemental it has to do with or something like that. But if I was to take the time to make them tell me everything I was doing, I'd be like,
you never get anything
done. I would never get done.
Right.
What I could do in like 2 minutes of light language, it would take me like, a whole notebook to write down stuff. And I probably still wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I just do it. I just trust that, they know what they're doing, the elementals and the galactics and whoever. Yeah, so things get done a lot faster. And then it can get done in a thought.
Yeah. And I think that's like such a cool thing that you've nourished and allowed to grow, is that trusting between each of the different beings or frequencies,
right.
whatever you want to, and you just allow it to be what it is. And it's really as if throughout this time, they've really started to work together. And, there's quite often you talk a lot about, just kind of tuning into the energy, be like, oh, this is elemental energy or galactic and all of that, and just knowing it. And, it's really like you just had such dedication to your work for so many years. It's so cool to see, to like just know that like if we continue to work, and we all start from some place, right? And we just keep doing and keep trusting, and no matter how strange or bizarre it may feel at the moment, you really have the opportunity to make your life as magical as you want.
Yeah. Well, if you don't trust, that's a big block right there. Yeah. And if you second guess yourself all the time.
Yeah. Second guessing. That is such a beautiful thing. Amazing. So you guys, we're kind of coming up to about that half-hour block right now, which is really where we start opening up the questions. So please feel free to put things in the comments, and Doreen and I can rap about it too. So here's the very first one. Like I'll read you the comment. Doreen said, I would like to chat with my guides. I had an instant last summer with a male spirit guide asking in a normal voice, why didn't you ask? Still wondering who that would be. After that, no voices have been there, besides a telepathic, very loud message from my twin stating the affirmation, obviously affirming the gift of telepathy by experience. Nevertheless, clear knowing is always there. It works very well too. Yeah, it is, right? It is just like you were saying. It's like trial and error, trusting and keep trusting and keep trusting. Yeah. It's amazing. Guys, just so you know, I'm going to see Doreen in real life soon with some other beauties. I'm really excited about it. I think I'm going to do cartwheels when I see you. And that's going to be my plan. Definitely roll around on the ground. It's amazing. So just kind of talking about the importance of the land itself, and what really called you to your property, or is it something that you were already on, or like did you just know?
Well, I put my guides on it. Awesome. I mean, I found places I loved, and it was like, nope. And I'm like, so yeah. And it worked out perfect because it's beautiful here. I'm going to say it was like Michael and Melchizedek that really were like searching.
I love that.
I also have my Andoras working on it. So
yeah.
And 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 it just worked out great. And the person that owned this house, like I guess I don't want to say she wasn't happy with other people, but she just knew it wasn't right. And then when we came along, it was like, yeah, okay, this is right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of property and there's a lot of trails, and and it just so needed to be having a lot of anchoring in of well, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, life, right? All the energy. And so do you notice through the time
clearing?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I realized after not too long that there was a lot of clearing from the Indians and all the
a lot of damage
that happened in this area. So there was definitely a lot of clearing, and whatever's weighing down that whole area. I mean, how are we going to raise in frequency if it's just hanging there?
Yeah.
So
so true.
A lot of slaughters and a lot of just so many things happened, massacres, and
the takeover of the United States was pretty ugly. For those of you who are not familiar with the United States history, it's a doozy for sure. So you've gone through the clearing and do you and the healing and all of the beautiful things. Do you notice now just like more vibrancy? There's something I've noticed just working on the land here for, I've only been doing this for probably 5 years now, maybe. But just noticing how more vibrant the energy is. So would you agree with that? Is that something that you've noticed through time, the change in the energy, or like what have you noticed?
I would say but what I noticed every single night is the sky is like mauve and magenta and purple and blue, and it's like, wow, we never had these colors, rainbows and like crazy stuff, clouds with all these faces in them and stuff. And it's like we never had this kind of scenery when we were growing up. You had white clouds, you had storm clouds, and you had blue sky.
Right, that was it.
Now it's like rainbows in the clouds, and there's no rain and there's rainbows, and the halos around the sun. And the other night there was a halo of orange around the moon.
Right.
When you look up at the sky, and it's like you can't even put this in a palette, the colors that were out there. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So that wasn't like that. Not even a year ago was like that.
Yeah, no. So if you guys are ever concerned that your work is not being felt or noticed, look at the sky. Like around you really, really responds to all energies. Yeah, we've got a note in here. I'm talking to my guides every day, still waiting on them to answer me in voice. I have to say, do you hear like them talking to you, or is it more like a thought? Like how does or do your messages just kind of come in at this point as a knowing?
I'm going to say the knowing is a big thing, but I am going to have to say it's not really a voice in my ear. It's just a knowing in my head, the thought or a knowing in my head. But I mean, it's a thought of a sentence or something that just wouldn't normally be there.
Right.
Picking
up, you're like, wait a minute, I don't even know I knew that information.
Yeah. I don't even know that word. What does it mean?
Yeah. What is that word? Right. Yeah.
So, but it's not really feeling like a thought. It's a stronger thought. So, yeah.
Yeah. I talk with them and hear and see them. It seems like a loving, nurturing voice. I could be making it up, but I'm going with it. I think that ties right back into the trust.
Yep. Sometimes you ask for some verification, like, you just want to, once in a while, you just want to show me something. And that's when I had that, deer in the road.
Right. Exactly.
I just said,
instantaneous gratification.
Stop riding on my leg in the air or on my leg with my finger, then put it in my head. Like, how do I know I'm not just thinking it to myself? And I know it was Archangel Michael. And he was like, and then I heard, like a thought. I was just driving it, and I was just heard, slow down. And I was like, looking around going, all right. So I slowed down, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Okay. I get it now.
Yeah.
You just
And
have to trust. You know what? The more you trust, the more you get. And then it gets stronger, like a muscle, muscle memory. It just gets
right.
stronger. Yeah.
And then you're on for a wild ride.
Yeah.
You want to be, And I think that's something that, is so beautiful about our journeys is that, they really can take us to so many things. And I think just something that has really cultivated in our relationship is just like something happens in your world and I'm like the same thing's happening in mine, and we'll just like message each other about something and we'll be like, oh yeah, no, or we have a little puzzle piece together. So, and it is such a beautiful way as you go into this and allow the magic and the puzzles and the allowance of it to really like you really have the opportunity to birth such beautiful deep friendships, right? Because a friendship like this is like, it's not your everyday, going with your neighbor to the coffee shop, right? And being like, okay, so how's the weather? But you're like, okay, let me tell you about the weather, the clouds, and the and the ships, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Ivy's got a great question here. I love this question. Thank you so much for bringing this up. She says, any advice for a newbie? I'd love to reach your caliber sooner rather than later. So what advice do you have or recommend or thoughts about people who are just starting out?
I would say, like, if somebody came to me and said, what can I do? Well, actually, I would just connect to their higher self and ask. But communication to me was the biggest change of my of what I could do. So I learned, I really did learn about kinesiology, communicating with the brain. Learn some way of yeses and nos, whether it's using dowsing rods or a pendulum. Of course, then you don't trust them, and then you start second guessing them, and then But I really found the muscle testing to be good. Doing the finger muscle testing, when you put those fingers together, you have to look that up, and you get your yeses and nos, and then after a while, it just, I don't know, it just sinks in, and you just know the yes or no before you even get your fingers together.
Yeah.
It's the answer's there before you even finish asking it in your head.
Yeah.
And then, then just ask. You're asking your guides, all right, I got that, Pat, give me something more, and then trust what you get. You get the words, you have to trust it.
Uh-huh.
If they're telling you to jump off a bridge, you obviously don't listen. So you have to use your discernment on what you get.
Yeah, that's such a good call, right? Yeah. Just because you're saying it doesn't mean you have to do it.
No, but and you just learn by communicating, and I'm going to say connect to your higher self and learn how to get even just yeses and nos in the beginning. And the muscle testing one is good because it's either going to be a strong answer or a weak answer.
Yeah.
There's no guessing. Did that go left? Did that go right? Did that turn? Did that swing? It's just clearly either a strong answer or a weak answer. Mm-hmm. So yes or no. Mm-hmm. And then you can use it anywhere you go. Use your body as your pendulum. So you ask the question, and you just feel that sway backwards or sway forwards. Mm-hmm. But if you don't ask for that, you're not going to get it. You just have to specifically, ask for it, and then you'll be surprised. And it just kind of comes fast. Do automatic writing.
Yeah. When you think you're doodling, right? And then all of a sudden,
well, I connect. I was like, I Googled it. How do you do the automatic writing? So I had a candle on the kitchen table, and my book and my pen, and do I use a pen or a pencil? Does it matter? Really doesn't matter. I use my finger after a while. But it's all what your intentions are.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't really need the candle, and you don't really need a certain anything. You just need your intentions and trust, and you have to trust. Yeah. If you don't trust and you keep second guessing, then how are you going to know? How are they going to know, or if you're ever going to have the right answer? Because you never trust anyway, right?
Right.
So yeah. So you just have to trust.
Yep. And then you know, because sometimes it is a lot of inward work, but there are times when, you know, we need to reach out to each other to have a community, because otherwise we'd be in our own little worlds.
Sure.
And what fun is that, right? So I know that's how we ended up getting connected originally, because you're like, yep, my God, so we're supposed to be here. And I was like, wow, that's just so cool, right? Just being like, yep. And, you know, I think that's such an inspiration for people to try too, is like, okay, well, where am I supposed to go? Show me the way, right? Show me where I'm supposed to go. Building that trust. I love that.
And then, you know, I think a confusing part with me was also when I was connecting to my higher self, and then all of a sudden it just didn't seem like my higher self anymore. Like I had no idea that your higher self changed as you're going up in dimensions. I was like, yeah, so it took me a while for that. I'm like, oh my God, I thought you were this. And now I'm like, oh my, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. You know, you get frustrated. But you have to realize once you've conquered that dimension, you're going to go up to the next higher self. You know,
yes,
we're all there, but you're just going up in frequency to another you.
Another
yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's so beautiful.
Changes and everything, you know.
Yeah, it's a completely new world, right?
I was like, man, I thought I was done. There's another one. Yeah.
Keeps
going.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've saying this, what she's doing right now. She's really working on concentrating and trusting and knowing myself and my abilities, learning to trust and be open to myself and abilities. Yeah. Yep. And just reiterating what you're saying, as soon as you learn it, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah. I gave up on saying there's more, because I mean, there's always more. And then when you start getting into galactic stuff, it's like, wow.
Right.
Wow.
That can go on forever. I mean, really, it can. There's just so many. And I think what's so beautiful about the whole thing is there's so many different games playing at once. We all are right. We're all having a real, true experience, right? And so much of it is who's along the ride with us, right? Who's in our story to help us learn our lessons, and, you know, and I just love so much how you really are just so open to like truly, you're like limitless in the possibilities. You're like, yep, nope, anything could happen. So
yeah, and I think another thing is I'm not afraid of stuff. So if I'm gonna meet something with fear, I'm gonna get something to be feared, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna go into meditation and be in fear that you're gonna meet something you're not gonna like, then you're gonna meet something you don't like, so you can clear it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like you just have to trust. I mean, I'm not saying be careless or reckless.
Right.
You know, but having fear, it's like, that's a really heavy weight. You can't have, you know, like I want to go into meditation. I want to see this, but I don't want to see this, and I don't want to see that, and I don't want this, and I don't want, then you got a lot of clearing, I guess, to do.
Yeah.
But I don't have the fear. So I don't have the fear, and I trust what I get. It just makes it go faster. And I don't question everything. What did I just do? Who was I talking to? What did that do? It doesn't matter. I just keep going. And, you know, especially when I started doing light language and I wanted to know everything that was being said. And it was like, wow, that was different. You know, what was that? It's like, you know, that's when I forget who it was that came in and said to me, if we sat there and told you everything, we'd still be like in the beginning.
Right.
You know, meanwhile, it's like 20 minutes worth of light language and I'm out of breath.
Yep.
But if you put that into English and then made me understand it with my brain, you know, like I wouldn't have been able to do everything in that moment.
Right.
You know, that moment would have taken like 5 hours and 3 novels, you know?
Right. And that's the beauty. That's the true beauty about, I think, soul language, light language, you know, is really, it cuts to the chase. You know, there's no roundabout. You don't need it. You just don't need all the excess, you know, you're just right into the core.
Yeah.
Especially,
and then, you know, it dawned on me one day when I was walking in the woods, and I realized, because I just stuff starts coming out, and then I realized, oh wow, it's like that energy that was coming out of my mouth needed to be walking through the woods as I was walking.
I love that. You
know, and just letting it out. Like I didn't have to know what it was, who it was, where it was going, what it was going to do. You know, it could have been the trees. I don't know. I just know that it needed to be spoken as I was walking through the woods.
Yeah, it feels good to speak it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So in the long run, I don't know who I'm speaking and what I'm speaking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I could sit there and ask what what language was that, or but it just seems to be unimportant
Right.
at a level of understanding that you don't need to know everything.
And being okay with that.
You need to let stuff get out. Yeah.
Yeah. No, knowing and trusting that it's for the greatest and highest good. And really, yeah, I definitely am in alignment with that. There does get to a point where there is just so much that happens to even have my brain even try to remember 3 minutes of that. Like you said, 3 minutes of that 20 minutes. I'd have like 6 novels, but you feel good. You notice everything's changing around you, and that there's more to it. I just love so much how you just trusted yourself throughout the years, especially like 20 years ago. Like you were saying, there's like nobody.
Oh yeah. I remember looking up dragons, and I'm like, and unicorns. Nobody, like, there was
Right,
zero.
it's all like high fantasy and in the books, and made up and
games. It was like games.
Yep, and games, right.
Games, yeah. So like I just had to just trust what I was getting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like such trust too, because you had no information, right? And it wasn't like the internet was really doing what it does now. And yeah, you came in the darkness and brought the light in that way, right? You're like, well, I'll go figure it out.
I was like, man, I'm going crazy, or like, and then once in a while you get thrown something that's like, oh wow, okay, like verification.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
The picture and there's something on your camera that is not really there. It's like, oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful when that happins too, because you do feel like you're going crazy.
Sure.
Right. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, how many people were just becoming enlightened before their time, right? They're coming into all of this, and there's no support group, right? They're like, oh, you're going into the mental hospital now, lobotomy. Like,
I'm sure that's what happened to a lot of people back then, right?
Oh yeah. And maybe even now too. In some circles, I know in the area I live, they're not very open to different perspectives.
Right.
So that's always been super interesting. And there is that thing about you've been doing it for so long. It's, and I think to myself, how that is to be, how is it harder now to kind of interact with like the regular, like, well, I'm going to call it the Muggle world, or or is it easy to do you just kind of notice, and how do you see the souls? Can you tell those that are here, like just beginning their ascension, and like ones who are kind of further along? Like what is it like for you in your
I'm lucky that I have a husband that totally supports this 100%.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I think, well, I was there 20 years ago. But it's helpful when you could talk to somebody, and then I had some friends also, like I had a couple people that I taught how to do automatic writing to, or something. I think a lot of it, like, I just had to do some kind of energy work, probably clearing a channel or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. I think that if I can handle going out to the supermarket and knowing I'm walking along with people that are more than likely, have a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, I see that as my energy field is huge, and it's like giving everyone a little piece of a hug of light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I do feel it. I can tell, I don't like to put labels on it, like,
right.
But yeah, Muggle could be one of the things I would say.
I just love that word.
Or like, like 3Ders.
Yeah. 3Ders. Oh, that's a great one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how to say, because I don't really like to put labels on things. That's another thing. I don't believe in labels or titles.
Yeah.
Although I might get labels and titles just because sometimes you just need something, an angel or an archangel, or
it's easy to describe,
or whatever it is. But once you put a title on something, you're restricting what you're getting.
Yes. Oh my God.
It could be something more than what's inside of that, and you're only seeing that title when it's so much more. So, Yeah, that's a little restricting. But yeah, I'm not the, I have no problem being alone on top of the mountain.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, talking to my light language all over the place and stuff. And
Yeah.
you know, I go into the stores and it's not like, oh my God, I can't go in there. Like I don't have that anxiety to be around people.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Because you really understand that you are the metronome and that love is everywhere.
Yeah. I also plan or intend that my energy wherever I travel kind of sprinkles on the ground so that
I love that.
you know it helps to lift up whatever needs it or something.
That's so
Not giving myself away, but just you know,
yeah.
just lighting the path or something.
Yeah. Little glitter bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. Doreen, you can kind of find here, there, and everywhere. She's a beautiful, beautiful healer, incredible Earthkeeper. And it's just such a beautiful thing that you're doing. If people are interested in connecting with you, is there a way? Is there like an email they can reach out? Like, is that something that you're open to now at this time? I know you've been busy doing a lot of earth work, so I'm not sure. But.
I'm going to have to say, I guess my email.
Yeah. So if anyone's
so busy, I don't get around to checking it too often, but
yeah.
Or if they friend me on Facebook, you know, Doreen Happel, and then Messenger, you know, Messenger I would get all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great connecting with you and just really, I just love what you're doing. And it's nice to know that, like, I don't know, for me, like, I'm not alone with like the stuff that happens. I'm like, okay, I'm not alone, you know, and it is so much now, like you were saying before about trust and community and coming together and love and really raising the vibration. And it's just, you know, it's more fun with friends, right? Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it is cool to be able to share with, like, that's why I could just drop you a message and it's like, you're not like, oh my God, Doreen's weird. You know, like, you know exactly what I'm talking about because whatever it is happening to you too.
Yeah.
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 But, you know, 20 years ago, you know, what was I, like, it was more than 20 years. I've been saying 20 years for like the last 5 years. So
yeah, it's like, it's in the mid 90s.
More than 20 years. But, you know, I was in my 20s, right? Because yeah, it's got to be like 25 years or so.
Yeah.
No one to talk about with this. So they're going to be like, you know, giving me a pill or locking me up or.
Yeah, I totally trust that because especially in that time period, there was so much like anger in the music and just angst everywhere of the world. And it was still that push to be seen and heard and different, but also not so much so that, you know, they take your kids away and that'd be it.
Yeah. And you know, that's an understandable concern.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It happened to somebody that I know.
Oh my gosh.
When I first started out a long time ago, because she was a psychic and she saw angels, you know, and she talked about it. Next thing you know, they got divorced and who had the kids but her husband.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like a real thing. And I'm going, my God, you know, like, you know, I have little kids and I'm going to be talking about this to the wrong people and they're going to be like questioning me seriously.
Yeah. And that has happened so many times to us in other lives, as in the Spanish Inquisition, the witches. I mean, there's so many points in history where, like, if you speak your truth, you get killed.
Yeah.
So yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I just love hanging out with you. It's the best.
Yeah, I can't wait till you're here.
We're gonna have so much fun. It's gonna be just incredible. Lots of plans, you guys. We're going through kind of this next year, trying to get just in front and hug as many people as I can in this next year. That's my plan. There's just so many in our tribe. We're so spread out, right? We all have our own little home bases and like doing this work and be like, hi, is it still crazy out there? You guys okay? Like, he's really just trying to connect and come in. We know we've got people all over the world. So it is something I really do love about the internet. And I am grateful for a time period. Hi, Kaylee. Yeah, come to Washington. There's going to be a West Coast revival. We're going to do the East Coast first. And then when my son is more healthy, we'll be going other places for longer. Yeah, land is coming, you guys. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, Melanie. So as far as what we're doing is for land and stuff for these home bases for sanctuaries, I'm working with consultants and investors. So keep, if you guys just want to start sending me pieces of land that you love, like I'm so into helping getting them all started. There's so many people out there who are wanting and knowing that these sanctuaries to be built, and people like Doreen who are doing the work every day. And the more that we call for each other, the more that more of us will show up. So keep sending me things. Like I love seeing all the properties. I love hearing all the beautiful messages. I know I can't always get back to everybody as fast as I want to, because immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing happened. Oh, all right, I have to take a shower. Oh, I have to eat food. So rude. But it's just so great. And Doreen, I'm just so grateful that you said yes to this, and that, the work that you do, and how you really, you just, for 25 years now, you're saying, right, to trust. So you guys, here is proof that, like, you don't have to know in the beginning, right? And it's okay. And you can do it your own way, and feel right into that, and just keep calling and keep trying and keep working, and you'll get there. There is that satisfaction of hard work. Some stuff comes easy, right? But it wouldn't be so fun if we got all the answers at once. I wouldn't have personally, I wouldn't know Doreen. I'd be off in my own little mountain, not speaking to anyone. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you, Queen. So yeah, Doreen's definitely one of our anchoring stars, doing all the work.
Yeah, I'm so excited that, like, when I found you and Tina, and you were like, we're gonna do the mentorships, and I was like, I always ask, can I do it? And it's like, no. Can I do it? No. Like, I want to do this class. No. I have to learn everything organically. It's like,
yeah,
it's so fun. I wanted, like, so when I got yes, I was like, yes. And I was like, so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's so much about the mentorships, just to bring that up, is they're for life. Like, we don't just drop off the face of the planet. Like, I'm all about it. I know Tina's like on the run. Like, basically she's like, they have her going, like, talk about trust, right? They're like, get in the car and go to the West Coast. And she's like, all right, this makes no sense at all. But she's done so many beautiful things out there.
No.
So yeah, going to Maui and Spain to reconnect. So really allowing that, and man, that mentorship, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. Like, it's just so much unlocked. So just trust, and guys, listen to Doreen. Trust yourself, trust your journey, have patience, enjoy it,
Yeah, patience, I guess, is a big one too.
Yeah, patience, right?
Like, I guess one thing I want to add to, like, when you start communicating and stuff, I always go for priorities. Like, what is a priority?
Oh, I love
You know what
that.
I'm saying? I could heal my big toe that's killing me, but maybe something else is a priority. So I always go for, and when I ask my questions, it's always like, what is the priority?
Yeah.
Like, you might be healing your toe, but you've got some major problem somewhere else. So I always go for priorities.
I love that. That is
in priority order. So, like, if I connected to somebody, I would get straight to their whatever, like a priority.
Yep. Yep.
They might be wanting their foot fixed, but I'm like, there's something on your shoulder,
Right. I gotta do this thing over here, right? Yeah.
Priority.
Amazing.
Good word.
Well, you guys, please stay connected with us. If you're interested in connecting with Doreen directly, of course, you can always reach out to me. I can send her email, connect you through email. Of course, you're allowed to go hunt for her on Facebook. You can always find her in Soul Tribe. You can always comment on either the event or something. I'll definitely make sure that you guys get in touch. Yeah, we're here. This is the long haul, right? So it's like we're at the beginning of the work to do. So don't give up. You're doing great. It's a lot. It's hard. Sometimes it's not hard, but just like know that.
Sometimes you just have to know the right question, right?
Oh my gosh. That's like the wisest thing I've ever heard. Sometimes you just have, it's like the difference, right? Because we come in and we're unconsciously incompetent. We don't even know what we don't even know, right? And then sometimes it gets to a point where we become like conscious or unconsciously competent. So we like can't even explain what we know. So it's always like trying to teeter around like that consciously competent. So I like know stuff. I could talk about it, and ask the question. I love that, Doreen.
Well,
Amazing.
you know, like I think I told you this before. Sometimes I just know there's something and I just can't figure out what it is. And I'm like, all right, is there anything I need to know that I don't really know that I need to know that you could tell me because I want to know it? You know, like, why do you have to have riddles? I'm like, just tell me shit. I just want to know stuff.
I
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, it's like I know I feel something there. What is it? You know, but if you don't ask the right question, so I'm like, is there anything I need to know that I don't know that I need to know?
Oh my God.
And I get some wild answers. It's like, oh wow, you know, it goes on to a whole nother chapter of something, you know.
I'm sure.
But if, like, who would have ever asked that question?
Right.
So you got to kind of, I want to say, like, trick them into telling you what you don't know you need to be asking, you know, because they can't just come out and tell you it.
Right.
You got to come up with it.
I love that so much.
Yep. And that comes back to the feeling, you know, like my senses, you know, right from the beginning, I knew I had to move a stone or I knew I had to go to the store and buy something. I know there's something out there. That's when I'll be like, is there anything I need to know that I don't know I need to know? Because I already felt there's something, but I don't have the right question in my head. I don't know what to ask.
Oh, that's genius.
Tell me already, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah.
There's anything you know that I don't even know that I need to know that you know that I don't know.
Yeah. Just tell me whatever you need to know. Yeah. And then, you know, they come up with an answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that could be a whole other puzzle, which is
fun. Yeah, because usually it's a whole nother ball game.
Incredible.
You know, so I guess that's a good thing to do when you're finishing off one chapter and starting a new one and you don't know what to be stepping into, then that's a good question for that.
Amazing. I love it. Yep. I'm going to quote that and make it a meme. It's going to be one of our Soul Tribe memes. So you guys, we can because I'm going to I have to go back and memorize this and then write it on my wall, like my little Post-it wall over here. So
yeah. Put it on one of your doors every time you walk past it, you think,
Yeah, right. Catch myself. Oh yeah, what do I need to know that I don't know, and that you can tell me that I don't, right? That I need to know. Yeah. Love it. Well, my friends, it's been a wild ride. We're hitting up just about that hour. You know where to find us. We've got these Say to Say Soul Tribe chats will be coming, like I said before, hopefully twice a month. I am going to get around to posting like the whole time that's up already that people have already said yes to for me because they're awesome. But if you are interested and there's anything that you want to share, don't wait for me to reach out. You could always reach out to me and we'll see what we can do. And I can always send you the link to schedule. I think we're like pretty full till January now. I've just been asking people. So if you're feeling the call and you want to come sit with me for an hour and talk about stuff, like this is just really about us connecting with each other and getting to know each other. And I mean, it's just incredible, the friendships and sisterhoods and brotherhoods and family, right? And, you know, and really Soul Tribe is about coming home and is about being able to be yourself and be open and free and to speak. And that's why that's the private group. That's why we've got global. That's kind of more if you want to be more out there or, you know, if you want to be seen in a way. And then, you know, we've got all other kinds of places to like kind of explore. And so please stay connected. Yeah, who can come for Virginia? Thanks, Dina. We're doing, yeah, that's right. Pelicity in Life. Say to Say is the consciousness pillar of Pelicity in Life. And that's like a 5-pillar thing. If anybody's interested in the blab about that, you could go check it on the website. But we're doing a Find Your Path event in the beginning of November, the 4th and 5th in person for that weekend. So you can find out more about that. There's a bunch of teachers coming and I don't know, we're just going to go around the world and do this. So if you want to teach, if you want to join, like just come at me. Like we're here for it. Let's save the world, save each other, have a good time doing it. Feel like it's good? Feels complete. All right, you guys all know where to catch us. We've got YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I think I'm even doing Instagram now. Like I need more adults or I guess more millennials to help me do that. I'm like, I don't know. My 16-year-old was like, do you do Snapchat? I was like, listen. There's just like no way I can even do another one. But who knows? So please, you know, stay connected, stay together. And I'm going to end this broadcast and then probably say goodbye to my friend. And Doreen, once again, thank you so much for bringing me.
And this is funny, but I didn't even know we were going to do this.
Yeah.
Because when I saw sign up for Soul Chat, I was like, oh, cool, I get to talk to Allison. and then, and of course I asked, and they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay. So today when I was talking to you, I was like, oh shit, what did I sign up for? Oh my God. gonna go. I don't want to talk to people. So it's funny. I was like, so I look at my guides. I'm like, what'd you do to me? You snuck that on me. So they told me to do it, but then I'm like, in my head, I didn't even know what I was doing. That's funny.
There's that trust, right?
No, I just trust you. They said, yeah, do it, okay. But then today, when I was talking to you, I was like, oh my God, the little bell went off. I'm like, oh shit.
It's so funny too, because they're like, don't post it yet. They're like, just wait. I was like, how long are we waiting for this? They're like, oh, just a couple hours before. And so it makes so much sense, because otherwise we would have been just like, oh wait, this is not the plan that I thought.
No, yeah. Then I probably have been like, nah, maybe I don't want to do this. So
right. There was enough time.
I had an hour. I was like, and I totally forgot about it.
Yep.
I told Kurt, remind me I have that thing with Allison tomorrow. And then this morning I said to him, and then this afternoon I was like, no, I was ready to run out and buy some chickens.
Right.
And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. And then you texted me, and I was like, oh crap, what did I do? Oh my God.
You just dropped a bunch of knowledge for the past hour. So I'm in.
So I trusted them, because when they say to do something, I just, like, I don't even think twice. I'm like, all right. Because usually, they tell me not to do stuff.
Right. So yes is always super fun.
Yeah. So I get excited when I get allowed to do something. Well, I don't mean it really loud, but yeah.
Just a little bit. Just
okay.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you.
All right, y'all. We're gonna hang up and we'll catch you later. We'll see you soon. Love you. Love you. Love you. Ending the broadcast.